Hi, I'm Vanessa from SpeakEnglishWithVanessa.com, and today I invite you to speak in English with me for 2 hours. If I asked you, what you listening to? Are you feeling okay? How did you meet? Would you not know how to answer? Maybe your heart would start to beat, your palms would get sweaty, and you would think, I don't know. Well, never fear, because in today's lesson, in the next 2 hours, you are going to master talking about a variety of common conversation topics. Because today's lesson is so epic, I have created another epic 44-page, can you believe it, 44-page free ebook with all of today's sample sentences, sample conversations, tips and tricks to help you be able to use today's lesson to the fullest. I want you to be able to speak in English confidently, so you can click on the link in the description to download this 44-page free ebook. This took a lot of work to put together, so please download it and enjoy it and find it useful. Click on the link to download that free ebook today. Today we're going to be talking about these topics, so let's get started with the first one, movies. All right, are you ready for some of the most common questions that you can ask and you might get asked about movies and TV shows? Let's do it. The first common question that you can ask about movies and TV shows is, you've been watching anything good lately? What's happening at the beginning of this question? Is there a question word like, have you been watching anything good lately? No, in casual daily conversation, sometimes we start questions with just you. You feeling okay? You doing anything fun this weekend? You been watching anything good lately? So you can start this question with just you. A similar variation of this question is, what you been watching? What ya been watching? The full version of this question is, what have you been watching? But what have you been becomes what ya been. What ya? Because you sometimes changes to cha. There are a lot of reductions for the word you in spoken fast English, so you can say, what you been watching? What you been watching? And someone might say, oh, I haven't really been watching anything lately. I've been too busy. What you been watching? Another common question is, have you been watching? And you can add a TV show that's really popular at the moment. So for example, the TV show Stranger Things is very popular right now. So you might ask, have you been watching Stranger Things? And you're hoping that they'll say yes so that you can chit-chat about what's going on. I have a little secret. I hardly ever watch movies or TV shows, so this lesson is very out of my element. It is not my strong suit, but I know that a lot of people love movies and TV shows, so this is for you, not for me. If you're like me and you don't watch much, you might ask this question, is that the one with... And then you can insert anything that you know about that TV show or movie. So you might say, is that the one with Tom Cruise and the fighter jets? Oh, Top Gun. Yeah, that's that movie. Is that the one with, it could be a person. Is that the one with Tom Cruise? It could be some element of the show. Is that the one with fighter jets? Is that the one with the really scary story? Whatever it is, it's anything that you know about it and you're trying to connect with someone. If you don't know anything about the show or the movie that someone is asking about, you can ask, what's the premise? What's the premise? This word premise simply means, what's the story about? And it's a common word that we use to talk about the storyline. So if someone asked you, what's the premise of your favorite TV show? Would you be able to explain it quickly? You might say, oh, well, there's this guy and he goes over to another country and he finds some kind of mystery and it's all about him trying to solve it. You need to be able to explain your favorite TV show or movie in this succinct way when someone asks you, oh, I haven't heard of that. What's the premise? Now you can practice. Our final common question about movies and TV shows is, when is the new coming out. When's the new Toy Story coming out? Here you're asking, when will it be released? And that's what this phrasal verb to come out means when we're talking about movies and TV shows. When will the new Toy Story be released? When will the new Toy Story movie come out? Beautiful question to ask. Now let's talk about some common expressions and phrases that you can use to talk about movies and TV shows. Indie. Indie usually means that it is an independently made film. It's not from Hollywood, it's not from a big producer, it's just an independently made film. Maybe it's something about your city or something smaller, but it can be really touching as well. So you might say, Captain Fantastic is one of my favorite indie films of all time. Feel good. It's a feel-good movie. This is pretty self-explanatory, right? It doesn't make you feel stressed. It doesn't make you feel worried. Instead, it makes you feel good. So you might say, my favorite feel-good movie of all time is The Princess Bride. Coming of age. It's a coming of age movie, or it's a coming of age series. Can you imagine what this means? Someone who is a teenager, or maybe like a 12-year-old, 14-year-old, 17-year-old is becoming an adult. So it's the story of them becoming older and more responsible, moving from childhood to adulthood. So you might say one of the most classic American coming-of-age movies is Stand By Me. A docuseries, or you could say it's a documentary, but a docuseries is several in a series, and a documentary is usually just one. But you might say, I watched a really interesting docuseries on the fall of the Roman Empire. It was fantastic. This is the kind of thing I love to watch. To binge watch, or to binge. Originally, this expression means that you drank too much alcohol. They binged and now they're feeling really sick. So they drank too much alcohol. But in the age of movie streaming and TV show streaming, especially starting with Netflix, this term has been turned into watching series after series after series after series at one time. So maybe you don't sleep all night because you binge watched your favorite TV show. You might say, I can't believe it. I just binged the entire series of The Great British Baking Show. It was great, and I watched it all night. Oops. To be really into something, this just means you love it. You're very interested in it, but a cool way to say it is I'm really into something. So you could say, I'm really into murder mysteries these days. Do you have any recommendations? This is definitely not true for me. Those types of things freak me out and scare me too much. I'd rather watch something feel good. A movie buff or a film buff. You could say, my friend is a movie buff, but really for me, I'd rather read the book. Talking about books, this expression is something I often say, the book was better. Have you ever watched something after you read the book and you were so excited and then you felt just disappointed? You might say, you know what, the Harry Potter movies weren't bad, but the books were better. A series finale or a season finale. Did you see the season finale last night? I can't believe how it ended. This is the final episode of a long series. Usually these are highly awaited and people are anticipating it, and hopefully you're not disappointed by the ending. Dubbed or subtitles. I'd rather watch a foreign film with subtitles than listen to it dubbed. I'm curious what's the case in your country when there is a news report or a TV show in English, for example. Do they show subtitles in your native language, or do they dub the voices? When you dub the voices, it means that someone is speaking over top of the original voice and you can't hear it. In my mind, this is such a shame because you really don't get a chance to listen to the original language. And if you're trying to learn English, that is a big bummer. You want to be able to hear English, and if you see the subtitles in your native language, that's okay. But if someone dubs the voice, then you can't hear the original language at all. I'm curious, what's it like in your country? Let me know in the comments. This next phrase is one that my friends say to me a lot. I can't believe you haven't seen The Godfather. It's a great movie. Well, I haven't seen many movies. That is a little secret that's not a secret anymore. I have seen some movies. For example, I have seen The Shawshank Redemption, which is amazing. So if you have not seen The Shawshank Redemption, then I might say to you, I can't believe you haven't seen The Shawshank Redemption. That is a great movie. Highly recommend. If you watch a movie or TV show and you just don't like it, you're not into it, you might say, the ruined it for me. The acting ruined it for me. It was just so awful. The storyline ruined it for me. The premise ruined it for me. Or maybe the last episode just ruined it for me. I can't believe that the season finale was that. It just ruined the whole series for me. Maybe you don't like something because it was hard to follow. It was hard to follow. When I watched the movie Inception, it was hard to follow. I just didn't get it. Maybe my brain is not at that level. It was hard to follow. This means it was difficult to figure out what was going on. And you can even use this expression for anything really that's difficult to understand. So let's imagine that you're sitting in a university lecture and the professor is speaking in English and it's just too fast. You might say, oh man, his English was hard to follow, or that lecture was hard to follow. You just couldn't understand all of the directions that he was taking. It was hard to follow. Our final expression, I don't want to end on a bad note, is a positive one. Let's say you loved the TV show or movie. You might say, I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. And you can imagine what this is like if you're on the edge of your seat. Oh, I can't wait. I want to see what's happening. And your body might be a little bit tense. You might be excited. You might be a little fearful to figure out what's going on. But you are on the edge of your seat because whoever wrote this story had it perfectly laid out so that you were excited to figure out what's going to happen. I was on the edge of my seat. Wonderful. All right, now that we've talked about the most common questions and common phrases to talk about movies and TV shows, now I would like to show you a sample conversation between my husband Dan and I where we talk about movies and TV shows and use some of the expressions and questions that you just learned. I want you to listen carefully because after this, it will be your turn. We are going to have a conversation about movies and TV shows. So let's watch this conversation with Dan and then be prepared. It's going to be your turn. Hey Dan, you watched anything good lately?
Oh, hey Vanessa. Yeah, I just started a new show. I like it so much. I binged the whole first season last night.
Oh, it must be good. What's it about?
Well, it's kind of a coming-of-age sci-fi adventure story about friends who discover aliens in their neighborhood.
Oh, I think I've heard of that show. Is that the one with the girl that has superpowers?
Yeah, that's the one. I can't believe you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I read the book and I think the show would just ruin it for me. The book's always better, right?
Well, that's true, but I was on the edge of my seat the whole time.
Oh, well, you want to borrow the book?
Yeah, I'd love to. See you around.
See you later. All right, now it's your turn. Let's imagine that we work in the same office together and we're walking around during our break time. I'm going to ask you a question and we're going to have a little casual chit-chat conversation about movies and TV shows. This is an extremely common casual conversation topic, so I want you to reply to me. If you need to pause this video and go back and repeat this section, please do that. It is a great chance to speak out loud, low pressure, no one needs to listen to you unless you want them to, and you can practice speaking out loud and use what you've just learned. Are you ready? All right, let's go on our break at the office. Hey, I'm thinking about watching a movie this weekend. Do you have any recommendations? Oh, what kind of movie is that? Oh, what's the premise? That sounds great. Thanks for the recommendation. I'm not much of a movie buff, so I always like hearing what other people recommend. Well, thanks so much. See you later. Congratulations on talking about the movies with me. Let's move on to our next topic, which is sickness. Unfortunately, this happens to everyone, and we need to know how to express ourselves about sickness in English. Let's go.
All right, let's get started with some common questions about health and when you're feeling sick.
Do you feel okay? Or are you feeling okay?
You don't look so good. Do you feel okay? I saw you fall. Are you feeling okay? These are great introduction questions when you suspect that someone is not feeling their best. Where does it hurt? I use this question a lot with my sons when they fall or get hurt and I see they're crying. After helping them emotionally for a moment, I often ask them, where does it hurt? Is it your arm, your leg, your stomach, your head? Where does it hurt? Do you want to sit down? Do you want to lie down? If you saw me walking around the streets not looking so great, this would be a great question to ask me. Hey, Vanessa, I'm glad to meet you, but you don't look so great. Are you feeling okay? Do you want to sit down? Here's a bench. Oh, I would feel so taken care of. Have you taken anything for it? If I told you that I had a headache, you could ask me this question. Have you taken anything for it? And it means, have you taken any medicine yet? Can you stand? Can you wiggle your fingers? Can you walk? This is sometimes an assessment that a doctor or maybe a parent would use. When I was a kid, my parents said this to me, and I say it to my children as well. It's a good way to see if they're capable of doing something, but I think it also helps your child feel like, oh, I can wiggle my finger. I'm okay. It's not too serious. Can I bring you anything? This is lovely. You're offering to help. Can I bring you anything? Maybe some hot tea? Maybe a hot pad to put on your back because it hurts. Maybe a chair so you can sit down. Can I bring you anything? Our final question is one that the sick person can ask. Do I feel hot to you? Maybe if you're feeling a fever coming on or you're just not feeling that great, and if you don't have access to a thermometer nearby, you might ask someone, do I feel hot to you? And they'll probably put their hand on your forehead, either like this or like this, and assess roughly if you feel hot, which means you probably have a fever and you're not feeling well. All right, let's talk about some common phrases that you might use when you're sick. I feel dizzy. Oh, those flashing lights are making me feel dizzy. I feel woozy. I had the stomach flu last week, and this week I'm still feeling woozy. It's similar to dizzy, but it also means that maybe your stomach doesn't feel well too. I feel nauseous. This means you feel like you're going to throw up. I took some medicine without eating any food, and now I feel nauseous. Notice the pronunciation here. The S in the middle sounds like shh. Nauseous. Nauseous. I hope you don't feel nauseous. I feel achy. It's kind of continuous dull pain, especially if you've been sick or you have a fever and you're in bed. You probably are going to feel just achy all over. I feel clammy. Usually we use this for our hands when they're wet or sweaty, but it's kind of cold. I feel clammy. It doesn't feel great. I feel fatigued or lethargic, and this means you feel really tired. It kind of feels like you're swimming through the air. I just can't do anything quickly. I feel lethargic. And some general expressions about how you feel. You might say, I feel a bit under the weather. That means you're not feeling well. I feel a little bit under the weather. Or just, I feel under the weather today. I think I'm going to cancel our get together. I feel under the weather. I don't feel so hot. This means I don't feel well, and ironically, maybe you have a fever and you actually are hot. But overall, it just means I don't feel well. I don't feel so hot today. Or you might say, I think I'm coming down with something. To come down with something means that you're getting sick. You're getting a virus or you're just getting some kind of sickness. I think I'm coming down with something. It's probably better for me not to go to the party today. And if someone else is sick, you can always tell them, get well soon, or I hope you feel better soon. Both of these phrases are very kind and it can help to express that you care. Get well soon, or I hope you feel better soon. All right, now we're going to go through some vocabulary of some common problems or some common sicknesses that you might experience. I have a headache. Can you please turn that loud music off? If you have a fever, you should probably stay home. I fell and hit my head and now I have some blurred vision. I should probably call the doctor. A bee stung me on my finger and now I have swelling all over my finger. I think I need to take something. I might be allergic. I always have a stuffy nose, or I always have congestion in the springtime right now when all of the flowers are blooming. I always have a stuffy nose. I was sick last month and now I feel better, but I still have a little cough. I still have a little cough. I don't know what it's like in your country, but here in the US, if you have a little cough and you know that you don't have COVID, but if you cough in public, everyone says, "Ah!" and they feel a little bit nervous that maybe you're coughing because of COVID. But in reality, there are many reasons why someone might cough, but it's still in our minds and we're still a little worried about it, huh? I have a sore throat and it hurts to talk today. I have a muscle cramp in my leg and it hurts to walk. A muscle cramp. Notice that the C in the word muscle is silent. Do not say muscle. Instead, it's just muscle. My muscles are sore, or I have a cramp in my muscle. I have a family history of nut allergies. I have a family history of... This is a common phrase you might use at the doctor when the doctor wants to know what your parents or your brothers and sisters or your grandparents had problems with. They need to know that to better assess you. So you might use this phrase. I have a family history of diabetes. I have a family history of something. Another way to phrase this is diabetes runs in my family. We're not talking about running. We're just talking about something that's gone from generation to generation, and a lot of people in your family have this problem. So we might say, allergies run in my family. Diabetes runs in my family. Next, let's talk about some common vocabulary for things that might happen to you or someone you know. I jammed my finger playing basketball, or I sprained my wrist playing volleyball. I twisted my ankle and now it's swollen. I broke my arm when I fell out of the tree. I tweaked my back trying to pick up that heavy box. I cut my finger by accident with a sharp knife in the kitchen. My son tripped and skinned his knee. This means it's not so serious. It's not a deep cut. It just means that a layer of skin has come off. This happens often to children, especially on their knees or the bottoms, the palms of their hands. You might skin your knees or skin the palm of your hands. Oh, I pulled a muscle trying to pick up that heavy box. Now I need to sit down and put some ice on it. I pulled a muscle. If you are a parent, this probably happens to you a lot. I always stub my toe on my kids' toys. Maybe that means we need to clean them up more often. But if you have ever stubbed your toe, you know it doesn't feel any good. When you have any of these problems, you might go to the doctor, and the doctor might tell you to do something. The doctor might tell you to take some medicine. I have a headache and now I'm going to take some medicine. We often sometimes say, take my medicine. So you can either say, I need to take my medicine, it's 3 o'clock. Or you might say, take some medicine if you want to be more general. I need to take a Tylenol. I need to take an ibuprofen. These are the kinds of medicines that you might take if you have a headache, if you have some pain in a specific place and it's not a major injury, you might take an ibuprofen or you might take a Tylenol. I feel hot. I think I need to take my temperature. I need to take my temperature. The doctor said I need to take it easy for a couple days. This means rest and relax. We also use this phrase for someone when they're not sick, just to say goodbye. You might say, bye, see you later, take it easy. This doesn't mean that they should lay on the couch because they're sick. It just means have a good time. Have a relaxing weekend. Take it easy, a very common phrase to say goodbye. And we can also use this when someone's sick. Hey, you should really take it easy and don't do too much work this weekend. Just stay on the couch and try to recover. Take it easy. When I had the flu, the doctor told me I need to get a lot of fluids so that I would feel better. This could be water, it might be soup, it might be tea, some kind of fluids or liquid in our bodies. The doctor told me I need to get a box of Kleenex so that I don't sneeze everywhere and get other people sick. In the US, we often use the brand name Kleenex instead of saying tissue, but it's the same thing. You can also say, can you get me a tissue? I need to blow my nose. But a lot of people say, can you get me a Kleenex? I need to blow my nose. I cut my finger. I need to get a Band-Aid. A Band-Aid. This is another brand name that we use for a generic item. So you could say a bandage, but in the US, a bandage feels very serious. Like you have a big cut, only really a doctor would give you a bandage. But if you have just a small cut, you can use a Band-Aid. And if you have children, sometimes a Band-Aid solves many problems. If there's just a little cut, but they feel like it's so serious, a Band-Aid can always help. If you have a bigger cut, you might need to get stitches. I really hope I don't need to get stitches on my finger. I hate needles. Have you ever had to get stitches? When I was in high school, I broke my wrist and I needed to get a cast. A cast is very hard and it helps your broken bone, for me it was my wrist, to feel better within a couple weeks and to be able to heal. You might need to get a cast. When you're simply not feeling well, you need to make an appointment or make a doctor's appointment, and the doctor can give you a more professional assessment, better than your friends and family and Dr. Google. It's a good idea to make an appointment. Another way to say this is, I'm feeling a bit under the weather. I think I need to see the doctor. I think I need to go to the doctor. These are all ways to say, I need to get a professional's opinion. So how are you feeling? We just covered a lot of questions and vocabulary that I hope you can use in your daily life. Now it's time to see a sample conversation. My husband Dan and I are talking about some time that I did not feel well, and he's trying to help me. Listen for all of the key phrases that you just learned, because after this conversation, it's going to be your turn to speak with me and use those phrases too. All right, let's watch. Morning.
Morning. Are you feeling okay?
I don't feel so hot. I woke up this morning feeling woozy, and now I feel achy and lethargic.
Oh no. Do you want to lie down? Have you taken anything for it?
No, I haven't, not yet. But I think I'm gonna call the doctor today. Do I feel hot?
Yeah, you do. Why don't you lie down on the couch and relax? Can I bring you anything?
I need to get some more fluids, so some hot tea would be great.
Well, you took care of me when I cut my hand and needed stitches. Now it's my turn to take care of you. So take it easy and I'll make an appointment for you.
Thanks, hun.
Okay, are you ready? I'm going to be asking you a question and pausing, and I want you to use what you've learned today and respond to me. Pretend like we're having a conversation. If you need to pause this video so that you can think about it or answer for longer, great. You can do that. That's the benefit of a video. And you can always go back and review this section again and again. Are you ready? Let's do it. It's your turn. Hey, you don't look so well. Are you feeling okay? Have you taken anything for it? Well, you should take it easy and get some rest. Can I get you anything?
All right, I hope this helps. Get well soon.
Congratulations on talking about sickness in English with me. I hope you're feeling better. Let's move on to a lighter topic, which is music. Speak with me about music. Let's go. All right, let's get started with some of the most common questions and answers that we use when talking about music. Question number 1 is, what you listening to? What you listening to? This is a reduction of the full question, what are you listening to? But oftentimes you becomes ch with a question. So we can say, what ya listening? We're cutting off that final G. 2. What you listening to? You might ask this if someone pulls up in their car and you hear some music. So you could say, hey, I heard you listening to some music in your car. What you listening to? And they'll let you know what they were listening to. If you're listening to some music but you don't know who sings it, a common question is, who's this? I like this song. Who's this? Of course, who is this could be used in a lot of different contexts, but here when we're talking about music, you're asking, who is the singer? I like this song, I want to listen to it again. Who's this? If you want to get to know someone better, you might ask, what type of music do you like? What type of music do you like? We're going to talk about all of the different genres or types of music a little bit later, but a little sneak preview, you might say, what type of music do you like? Oh, I really just like pop music. Whatever is on the top of the charts these days, that's what I like. What type of music do you like? If you've ever listened to Spotify, you've probably listened to a playlist. This is a group of songs that have something in common. Maybe it's just songs that you like, or it might be songs that have a common theme or similar to a type of singer that you like. So you could ask, did you make this playlist? Did you make this playlist? For my husband, he loves to make playlists himself, so all of the playlists that we listen to in our house are specific to different activities. Maybe they're for the evening, maybe they're for feeling energized. All of these different things can be included in a playlist. Do you like to make playlists? For me, I never listen to the radio, but if you listen to the radio, you could say, what station is this? What station is this? When you turn the dial or change the radio station, this is kind of like channels. We call it a station. So if you like some music and you're listening to it, oh, I like this. What station is this? And maybe you can listen to it on your own. Have you ever seen them live? Who do you think them is here in this situation? Well, if we were talking about a group that you like, and I asked you, have you ever seen them live? This means, have you ever been to their concert? You could say, have you ever been to their concert? But it's more common to say, have you ever seen them live? That means in person, not in a video, but in person. Oh, I saw them live and it was amazing. Have you heard the new song? Have you heard the new Taylor Swift song? It's great. I'm not a huge Taylor Swift fan, but I know she's a popular artist, so let's use her in this question. Have you heard the new Taylor Swift song? I think it's fantastic. Or you could insert any singer or group that you like, and you're talking about their new song that has just been released. Let's imagine that you're talking with someone and you ask, what type of music do you like? And it turns out that they like the same music as you. You could say, oh, I like folk music too. Do you have any recommendations? People love sharing song and group and music recommendations. So this is a great question to ask. Oh, I like that kind of music too. Do you have any recommendations? And I'm sure that they'll give you plenty of ideas. Now let's talk about some common phrases that we use to talk about music, especially music that we like. But first, let's talk about some genres of music. These are different types of music. Take a look at this. You might say, I like pop music, folk music, rock music, country music, alternative music, classical music, jazz music, guitar music. There are so many different types of genres, but these are probably the most common. If I asked you what type of music you like and you have trouble describing what you like, well, maybe this sentence is a good fit for you. You can describe how the music makes you feel. You could say, I like music that's energizing and makes me feel good, like rock music. Cool, you're talking about that feeling inside of you that you get when you're listening to the music. Some common descriptions of music that you could say are, I like music that's soulful. I like music that's got a good beat. I like music that's easy to dance to. I like music that's relaxing. These are all wonderful terms that you can use to talk about music. And what if you hear some music that you love? What can you say? Let me give you a bunch of expressions that you can use. You might say, oh, this is a great song. Turn it up. Turn it up means make it louder. Turn up the volume. I love it. Turn it up. Or you might say, oh, I love this song. This is my jam. This is a little bit older, an older type of expression, but I use this. You're welcome to use this. And it just means I like it. Oh, this is my jam. I love this. Or you could say, I love this song. It's so catchy. It's so catchy. That means that you can't stop thinking about it. Just like this next expression, this song always gets stuck in my head. This could be good or bad. If it's a song you like, well, cool, it's stuck in your head. You're just humming and singing it all day. You're saying a couple lines of it in your head. But if it's a song that you don't want to have stuck in your head, this often happens to me with children's songs, you might say, oh, that song has been stuck in my head all day. I need to do something to get it out. You can also say, I like this song. It's got a great beat. Maybe it makes you feel like you want to dance. It's got some good rhythm. That's what the word beat means. It's got a great beat. I love this song. Maybe if it's got a great beat, you might say, it makes me want to dance. Every time I hear this song, it doesn't matter if I'm in the doctor's office, the grocery store, if I'm listening to music as I'm walking around my neighborhood, it just makes me want to dance. And our final expression for music that you love, you could say, I have it on repeat. I've been listening to that song all day. I've had it on repeat all day. Just a little note about this pronunciation. Usually when we say the word repeat, it's the final part of the word that's emphasized. Can you repeat that, please? Repeat that. But when we use it in this context, I have it on repeat. Both of those words are going to get equal emphasis, and the vowels are the same. Repeat. I've had that song on repeat all day. I love it. Before we go to our sample conversation and your chance to speak with me, I have a little bonus section. What if you play an instrument? Or what if you want to play an instrument? What are some phrases that you could use to talk about that? I'd like to give you 3 phrases that are fun and you can include in your daily conversation. Let's take a look at this one. I play the piano, so I've always looked up to Ray Charles, for example. If you play an instrument and you have an idol or someone who you really think is awesome, you can use this phrase. I play the piano, so I really look up to Ray Charles. I play the guitar, so I really look up to Jimi Hendrix, for example. If you have a dream to play an instrument or you want to play yours better, you might say, I really want to play the flute like Vanessa. I play the flute, not perfectly. This is just a sample sentence, but you could say, I really want to play the flute like Vanessa. Notice in both of these sentences that I'm saying play the plus the instrument. I play the piano. I play the flute. I play the guitar. Let's take a look at the last sentence. I love jazz music, so I would love to play the trumpet like Louis Armstrong, for example. This is another way to incorporate an idol or someone that you really think is a great musician into your desire, your motivation for learning an instrument. I love jazz music, so I would love to play the trumpet like Louis Armstrong. Great, what a good motivation. Okay, it's time to see all of these phrases put together in a conversation. You're going to take a look at a quick conversation between my husband Dan and I where we talk about music. Listen for the key phrases that you learned today because after this sample conversation, it's going to be your turn to speak out loud and practice talking about music in English. Let's watch the conversation with Dan and I. Hey Dan, what you listening to?
Oh, hey Vanessa. It's Caro Caro Bonito. They're a great new band I saw live this weekend, and I can't get their songs out of my head. Here, listen.
Oh, it's great. It's so catchy.
I know.
It's got a good beat too. Have you heard the new Fleet Foxes song? It's been stuck in my head all day today.
I have. It's been on repeat all weekend. Have you added any of their songs to a playlist?
Yeah, I can send you a link if you want.
That'd be great. Thanks.
No problem. I'm always happy to share music recommendations. Well, see you around.
Later.
Okay, now it's your turn. I'm going to be asking you a question. Imagine we're having a conversation together, just a chit chat. And I'll ask you a question at the beginning of the conversation, and then I will pause, and it will be your turn to speak out loud. If you need more time, the good news is this is a video. You can pause the video. You can always go back and repeat this section as much as you want, because it's a good way to grow your confidence. Okay, are you ready to get started? Let's do it. Hey, I'm making a playlist. Do you have any music recommendations or a favorite song I should add? Oh, that's interesting. What type of music do you like? Oh, very cool. Why do you like that type of music? That's awesome. Well, thanks for the new music recommendations. I can't wait to listen to it, and I'll see you later. Bye. Great work speaking with me about music. Let's move on to a fun topic, love. Let's speak together about love. Let's go. Let's get started by talking about some common questions that someone might ask about love. If you're walking down the street with your boyfriend, someone might ask you, how long have you been together? This means how long have you been dating? Or they might ask, how did you meet? This is the question that I asked you at the beginning of this lesson. And it's not, where are you meeting right now? Like, oh, I'm just walking down the street. No, they're asking, where was the first place that you ever met each other? And you might say, oh, we met at school. Or we met at a bar late night when I was dressed up like a turtle for Halloween. There might be a fun story to go along with that. Another fun question is, where was your first date? This means the location of your first date. So you might say, oh, our first date was just to a restaurant. Quite simple and a common thing to do. I like this one. How did you know that he was the one? Or how did you know that she was the one? This means that this person is the most important person for you. You will either get married, or you already are married, or you're just going to stay together for life. They are the one. How did you know that he was the one? Well, there's a lot of things you might say to this, but a common expression that you might use in response is, well, when you know, you know. It's this feeling you have inside of you. Well, when you know, you know. Another fun question about love is, do you believe in love at first sight? So if you go on a date and your friend asks you, how was your date? You might ask this, do you believe in love at first sight? Because I think I'm in love. And you've only been on one date. Well, that is love at first sight. And your friend might say in response to you, understandably, is it true love? This means a real, deep, enduring love, not just something simple or puppy love like we'll talk about in just a minute. Is it true love? Great question. And hopefully not after the first date, but at some point your friend might ask you, well, when's the wedding? And they might be asking you this as kind of a little joke. Maybe you're not engaged yet. You haven't actually said that you're going to get married to that special person, but your friend might be kind of hinting, when's the wedding? What's gonna happen in the future? Tell me about your relationship. All right, let's go on to some common phrases that we use to talk about love. The first category of expressions are types of romantic love. We're gonna talk about the most shallow leading to the most serious. The first, most shallow one is an expression that I just used, and that's puppy love. Sometimes we use this to talk about
children or young people when they have their first love interest. This is a crush. When they have their first crush, we might say, "Oh, young puppy love." And the next word is the one I just used, a crush. Sometimes we use this to talk about someone we know in real life, but you can also use this to talk about a celebrity, for example. So we might say, "When I was younger, I had a crush on Johnny Depp, the actor." Obviously, it was something unrealistic, but it just was something that was in my heart, a crush. And as we amp up the feelings, we might say, "It wasn't love at first sight, but over time, I fell in love with him." Love at first sight. Have you ever experienced this? If you have, you might use the next expression, which is head over heels. You could say, "I fell head over heels in love with him right away." Wow, that's a very intense experience. And this just means you can't keep your balance because your love is so strong. You don't know what's going on. You're just in this whirlwind of love and emotion. You fell head over heels in love with him. And once you move beyond puppy love, falling head over heels, you might say, "Now it is true love." Our love is true love. It's not just puppy love. You can make a comparison. It's not something fleeting and simple and shallow. Instead, what we have is true love. So romantic. And when you feel true love, it is getting serious. So serious is sometimes a word that we don't really associate with positivity and something like love, but this is a common phrase that we use to talk about a relationship that might lead to a long-term relationship, either a marriage or a lifelong commitment. So your friend might ask you, "Oh, are you getting serious?" And they're asking about the enduring quality of your romantic relationship. Is this something that's going to last? You've been on 3-4 dates already. Is this getting serious? Or maybe it's something that's not serious and you might say, "No, we're not getting serious," or "I think we're getting serious. He might be the one." Our next category of expressions to talk about love are words to describe romantic love, and then we'll talk about some verbs to describe romantic love. The first one is a fun one, sappy or cheesy. Personally, I use cheesy all the time. Let me give you a little example from one of my high school relationships. And when I say relationships, I mean romantic relationships. You could say, "My boyfriend and I wrote long letters to each other every day." It was so cheesy, but you know what? I loved it. You can get the sense here that it's something that's overly sentimental. Maybe it kind of makes you feel like, "Oh, that's a little strange," or maybe that's a little too much. But you know what? When you're in love, it's something that is not a big deal. It's cheesy, but it's true. The next one's a fun one, lovey-dovey, lovey-dovey. And usually this has to do with a public display of affection. Sometimes we call this PDA. So if a couple is always holding hands and snuggling in public and kissing each other, we might say, "Wow, they are very lovey-dovey." But the opposite could be true as well. You might say, "We're not very lovey-dovey in public, but I still really care for him." And that's just kind of personal preference, kind of a cultural thing too. Next, I want to tell you some pet names that we often use in the US to talk about our romantic partner or to address our romantic partner. So instead of saying their name, you might call them or you might say this about them. You might say, "Babe, hey babe." You might say, "Honey, hun." This is my preferred expression. I'll tell you a silly story about it in just a minute. You might say also sweetheart, sweetie, love, or dear. Hey dear. So I want to tell you, I often call Dan, my husband, hun. But apparently, I rarely say just hun. Instead, I often say, "Hey hun," because I'm giving him some kind of direction or calling to him. So I might say, "Hey hun, where are you?" So one time I called into my yard. I said, "Hey hun, where are you?" And my child, my son, went into the yard to look for him. And he came back and said, I don't know where hey hun is. So he had heard me say hey hun so much that he thought this was one expression that I used to address Dan. Just a silly little anecdote. And you can really use any of these, but I do want to give you a quick little cultural note that in the US, if a stranger says sweetheart or dear, it's kind of rude. It's almost like they're trying to make fun of you. So let me give you a little example. Let's imagine that a woman, usually this is referring to a woman, let's imagine that a woman is going to the gas station and she's about to put gas into her car, but she does something wrong. Let's say that she pushes the wrong button and she uses the wrong handle. Someone who is at the other gas pump might look over and say, "Hey, sweetheart, that's not how you do it." Well, it's not really something correct that she's doing. And that guy added the word sweetheart kind of to imply that's a kind of stupid thing to do that you're doing. Wasn't a very polite expression. But if you're using this with someone you love, it's not a problem. Now, this is very different from in the UK. Expressions like love or dear or sweetheart are used by strangers in a positive way. I remember many times in England getting on the bus and the bus driver saying, "Come on, love, get on the bus, love." And I thought, oh, that's so kind. It's so sweet. The way he said it was so endearing, and you could tell it was said with a kind of kindness. So this is a cultural difference in the US compared to in the UK, but if you're saying it to someone you love, don't worry, it's all right. And finally, before we get to our conversation practice, let's talk about 3 verbs that we use to talk about love. The first one is a lovely little insect to give you butterflies in your stomach. Have you ever been in love and you just have this feeling inside of you that's hard to describe? It kind of makes you feel maybe a little bit nervous, a little bit excited, all at the same time. You might say, "When I first saw him, I just had butterflies in my stomach." We can imagine a butterfly fluttering in your stomach, and it kind of describes that feeling of discomfort but excitement at the same time. I want to know, is there an expression that's similar to this in your language? I know that some languages use other animals, other insects, and have really colorful ways of describing that feeling of excited but nervous love. So let me know in the comments what that expression is in your language. Have you ever heard this in a fairy tale? To live happily ever after. And this kind of implies that there are never any difficulties or problems. It's kind of an overly sentimental phrase. So we might use it in real life like this. I thought that getting married meant that we would live happily ever after. But the reality is that marriage is a lot of hard work. So here we're comparing this fairy tale idea that everything is always just wonderful and roses and rainbows and happy, and the reality that having a long-term relationship with someone is a lot of work. So we can use this in kind of a realistic way too. And our final phrase, our final verb to talk about love is this one, to grow old together. This is a very romantic phrase. So we might say, "My husband Dan and I met when we were very young, but we look forward to growing old together." And this implies we hope that we will be together forever until we are old, and we will live through all of life together. We are going to grow old together. This is a phrase that you might hear in someone's wedding vows. As they get married, they might say, "I look forward to growing old with you," because it's a very sentimental thing to say. All right, are you ready for our conversation section? Let's take all of the questions, all of these key common phrases, and add them up together in a conversation. You're about to watch a sample conversation between my husband, Dan, and I, talking about our long-term relationship. Guess how many years we have been together. You'll find out in the conversation in just a minute. And then after that conversation, it will be your chance to speak. I'm going to be speaking with you, asking you some questions, and you need to speak out loud and practice with me. But before we do that, I want you to watch the sample conversation and get ready. Let's watch.
Hey, hon, I have a question for you. Do you believe in love at first sight?
Ooh, good question. I don't know if everyone does, but I sure do. It happened to me.
Oh, really?
With you.
Oh.
I had butterflies in my stomach the first time you talked to me. And I knew it was more than puppy love.
Oh, that's so sweet. How did you know that I was the one?
It sounds cheesy, but when you know, you know.
Oh, that's so sweet.
What about you? Do you think we'll live happily ever after?
I sure hope so. We've known each other for 19 years, so it's starting to get serious.
I'd say so.
Well, here's to growing old together.
All right, so now you know the answer. We have known each other for 19 years. Incredible. Well, now it is your turn. I want you to practice speaking out loud. This will help you to retain and remember everything that you've learned from this lesson. I'm going to be asking you a question and then I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to pause while you speak out loud. You can repeat this section as many times as you need to kind of gain and grow that confidence in a safe area until you go out into the real world and talk about love. All right, are you ready to get started? Let's do it. So I want to hear about your romantic partner or your spouse. Tell me, how long have you been together? Oh, well, tell me, what was your first date? Thanks for sharing. Now I want to know, do you think that they're the one? Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you for sharing with me. I love hearing other people's love stories. I hope that you live happily ever after.
Great work speaking to me about love. Let's move on to our next speaking topic, which is extremely common in daily conversation, and that is the weather. No matter where you live, people always talk about the weather, so you need to be confident talking about the weather in English. Let's go. Let's get started by talking about the most common questions and answers about the weather. This is an extremely common small talk conversation topic. We use these questions every day, so I want you to be able to use them comfortably yourself. Let's start. What's it like out there today? What's it like out there today? It's a sunny day, but the breeze is kind of chilly. This is a great question for asking what's the weather, but we are more likely to use this instead of what's the weather. What's it like out there today? Do you know if it's going to rain later? Yeah, I think it might, so grab an umbrella. Do you think it might rain later? I am personally always checking my weather app on my phone to see if it's going to rain, especially at this time of the year, because I want to be prepared. A great question. Is it supposed to storm later? Yeah, we might have to reschedule our picnic. Is it supposed to storm? Now, usually we use this verb supposed to with a need. I'm supposed to pick up my kids from school every day at 3 o'clock. I have to do it. It's a requirement. But sometimes we use supposed to in these situations. Is it supposed to storm later? Just means, is it going to storm later? And it's a good question. Is it supposed to storm later? Have you checked the weather? Or have you checked the weather forecast? Yeah, I checked it and it looks like it's gonna be a nice day. Whew. If you've scheduled any outdoor activities, you always are going to be wanting to check the weather. This doesn't mean you go outside and you look to see what the weather is. No, this generally means that you're checking a weather app or maybe the weather on your TV, the weather forecast. And we don't even need to say that word forecast. Have you checked the weather? What's the weather like where you live? For me, it is extremely unpredictable these days. Some days it's cold, some days it's rainy, and some days it's like a summer day. What's the weather like where you live? What do you like to do when the weather's hot? Usually when the weather's hot, I like to be in the shade or in some water. Coming soon is summer, so I've started to think about those types of activities. What do you like to do when the weather's hot? What do you like to do when the weather is cold? For me, I like to bundle up and go outside, take a nice walk, and then come back inside and drink some hot tea. What do you like to do when the weather's cold? And finally, a great small talk question is, isn't it a beautiful day today? And here it's kind of a rhetorical question. You're not really expecting them to say no or yes. Usually you're implying it's so beautiful, so you probably already agree. And you could respond to this question by saying, yes, this is a great spring day. Isn't it a beautiful day today? Yep, it's a great spring day. Now that we've talked about some common questions and their answers about the weather, let's talk about some common phrases that you could use to talk about the weather in your conversations. It's out. It's freezing out. It's gorgeous out. It's so hot out. We're talking about outside here, but you can fill in the blank with a lot of different words. It's freezing out. Make sure that you wear a coat. It's really coming down. What is coming down? I love using this to talk about a huge rainstorm. When the rain is just explosive, you can use this. Oh, wow, it's really coming down. Beautiful phrase. Bundle up or grab a. This is great to use in the winter time. In the winter, I like to bundle up with my big coat and go for a walk. But if it's rainy, I always try to grab an umbrella. We're talking about what you need to do to figure out how to survive extreme weather. Cold or rainy, you gotta bundle up or grab an umbrella. Wear layers. This is essential in the winter time. You need to make sure that you wear layers so that your body stays warm when it's cold outside, and as the day progresses, you can feel cooler as the day gets warm. This is the unusual part about spring. In the mornings, it's chilly. In the afternoons, it's hot. So it's important to wear layers. You might wear a t-shirt, then a long sleeve shirt, then a sweater, then a coat. You're preparing for all seasons because sometimes the weather is just like that. Now, during the summer, you don't need to bundle up. You don't need to wear layers. In fact, you might say, it's a scorcher. Sometimes we use the word scorch to talk about food that you burnt. Oh, I scorched it. But we can also use it to talk about extremely hot weather because when you walk outside and the sun is beating down, you feel like you're getting burnt. You might actually be getting burnt. So you might say, it's a scorcher. I need to put on some sunscreen. I'm a warm weather person, or I'm a cold weather person. This is talking about your preference. What type of weather do you like? It might be the same as the place that you live in, or it might be very different. For me, I'm a warm weather person. I love warm days, even hot days. But when days are extremely cold, that's not for me. I'm not a cold weather person. I'm more a warm weather person. And finally, if it is a wonderful day outside, you can say it's a perfect spring day. It's a perfect fall day. It just makes you feel so good. It refreshes your spirit. You take a deep breath of fresh air outside and you can think, it's a perfect spring day. Enjoy it. All right, now that we've practiced some common questions and answers and some common vocabulary about the weather, now I want you to see a sample conversation about the weather. My husband and I are going to have a little chit chat using some of the questions and phrases that you just learned. I want you to watch this conversation and get ready because after our conversation, it's going to be your turn to have a conversation with me about the weather. All right, let's watch. Hey Dan, what's it like out there today?
It's a nice sunny day out there, but it's supposed to rain later.
Oh, have you checked the forecast?
Yeah, I thought it was going to be sunny all week, but now it says it's going to rain later today and tomorrow.
Oh, I'll grab a jacket and umbrella. This time of year, it can start coming down with almost no notice.
That's a good idea. Don't want to get caught in the rain.
Yeah, one time I was caught in a snowstorm without my winter coat. I'm a warm weather person, so that was not fun.
That doesn't sound fun. Well, I'm going to go grab a raincoat. Layers are always the way to go.
That sounds good. Well, nice to see you. I'll see you around.
See you later.
All right, let's have a conversation together about the weather. I'm going to ask you a question and then I'm going to pause. And while I pause, I want you to speak out loud, answer my question, and I'm going to be listening to you. No matter where you live around the world, I have magical teacher ears. I can hear you speaking. So make sure that you speak out loud, answer my question, and you're welcome to go back and review this section as many times as you want. Are you ready to get started? Let's do it. So tell me, are you a warm weather person or are you a cold weather person? I would love to know, if I were visiting your city next month, what kind of weather should I plan for? Oh, that sounds great. Now tell me, what do you like to do when the weather's hot? Well, thank you for telling me. I hope that I can see you when I visit your city. Great work speaking with me about the weather. Let's move on to our next conversation topic, which is where you live, your house, your apartment, and your neighborhood. Let's go. The first category is questions and answers about chores. Look at this pronunciation. Chores. Chores. Make sure you pronounce this correctly, and it means things that you need to do to take care of your house and your home. So let's start with some of these questions and answers and level up your speaking skills. Do you need a hand? Remember this question I asked you not too long ago? Well, what can you reply to this question with? You can say, oh, no thanks, I'll be finished soon. Do you need a hand? That means, can I help you? If you're doing some difficult chore, someone kind might ask you, do you need a hand? Or you can ask, can you give me a hand with this? Let's say you're picking up something that's really heavy because you're trying to move it across the room. You need to ask for some help or ask for a hand. Could you give me a hand with this? And hopefully the other person will say, sure, I'll help you. A common chore question is, do you mind taking out the trash? Do you mind doing the dishes? Do you mind folding this laundry? It's asking, please, I need some help. There are so many chores to do. Do you mind doing one of these chores for me? And hopefully the other person will say, yes, it's no problem. A similar question is, can you help me tidy up? Can you help me fold this laundry? Can you help me take out the trash? And hopefully the other person will say, sure, I would love to. If not though, they might say, oh no, I'm really busy, I'm sorry. Hopefully they don't say that, but it's possible. If you live with other people, especially if you live with kids, it's important that everyone participates in the chores and taking care of the house. So someone might ask you this question, are your kids old enough to help with chores? And if you're like me, you might say, they are, and they love helping. In fact, my kids' favorite weekend day is deep cleaning day. They take a wet rag and just wipe everything, every corner, every chair, and they love it. Of course, we don't always love doing chores, so you might need to reply to this question, what's your least favorite chore? Well, you might say, I hate doing the dishes. I get so wet, there's dirty food, I hate doing the dishes. All right, our next category are questions and answers related to your neighborhood, because your house is not just the things you do to take care of it, the chores, it's also the location. And we often ask questions about the location or condition of your house. So let's talk about some of these common small talk and conversation questions about where you live. If you see someone in your neighborhood who you've never met before, you might ask this question, have you lived here long? Have you lived here long? And they might say, oh, I'm new to the neighborhood. I just moved here from New York City. This could be an answer that you give if you move to the US and someone doesn't recognize you and they say, oh, have you lived here long? You can use this answer. I just moved here.
I moved here from Italy. I moved here from Japan. Great answer. Now, the next question is an essential question that you know the answer to if you move to an English-speaking country, because if someone asks, have you been here long? They will follow it up, most likely, with this second question. What made you choose to move here? Or what made you decide to move here? They're basically asking you, why are you here? Why here and not anywhere else in the world? So you need to have an answer for why did you decide to move to this neighborhood? And you might say, I got a remote job that let me live anywhere in the world, and I've always dreamed of living in the US, and this seems like a nice place. Now, if you've just moved to a new neighborhood, you might want to ask that other person some questions about the place that you just moved. So you could ask them, what's the best thing about this neighborhood? This is a great question. You might learn about a hidden coffee shop or a great little park to go to. They might say this, I love that every Saturday there's free concerts in the park. You should come. Wouldn't that be great? You'd have an instant friend. And another question you could ask when you move to a neighborhood is, are there any other neighborhoods that I should check out? Maybe other cute walking areas or places to kind of get to know the local culture. And they might say, oh yeah, there's a neighborhood north of town that's great to walk through. And you're getting some recommendations about things that you should do in your new town. Now, when you move to a new place, especially if you own it, you're probably gonna have to do some renovations, even if it's just decorating the house in your own style. And when someone comes over to your house, hopefully they will comment on what a wonderful job you've done. So you might hear something like this, I love what you've done with the place. Did you do it by yourself? When they say what you've done with the place, that's talking about either renovations or decorations. Wow, this old apartment used to look so dark and dreary, but your decorations, what you've done with the place, just looks so nice. Did you do this by yourself? And you might say, yeah, I love fixing up places. Cool. And to follow up that, your friend might say, wow, that's impressive. Was it a lot of work? And if you have really fixed your home, especially if you've had to do some major renovations, you can use this great expression. Yes, this house was a fixer-upper, but I loved redecorating it and renovating it. A fixer-upper means it's a house that has a good foundation. It's a nice house, but there is a lot of work that needs to be done to make it livable. Maybe the doorways are so small and the walls are all old and just need a new coat of paint, and you need to maybe open up some spaces. This house is a fixer-upper. But you know what? It's probably less expensive, and it means that you get to design it in the way that you like. All right, now that we've been through some great questions and answers related to chores inside the house and the neighborhood that your house is in, it's time to start speaking. But first, you're going to listen to a sample conversation between my husband, Dan, and I. We're going to be using the same questions and answers that you just learned in a little sample conversation. I want you to listen for all of those key questions and answers and be preparing yourself, because after this sample conversation, it will be your turn to speak with me. All right, let's watch the sample conversation.
Hey Dan, what are you working on?
Hey, I'm just finishing up some renovations on the house.
I love what you've done with the place. Have you done everything by yourself?
Yes, I did. I replaced the flooring and I renovated the kitchen. It's been a lot of work, but it's been worth it.
Yeah, it looks great. So what made you decide to move to this neighborhood?
Well, I really like the old homes in this neighborhood, and the neighbors seem really nice.
Oh, that's true. So do you need a hand?
Yeah, I do. Can you help me tidy up?
No problem. Welcome to the neighborhood.
Thanks, neighbor.
All right, how did you enjoy that sample conversation? Now it is your turn to speak. I'm going to be asking you some questions and then pausing. During that pause, I want you to speak out loud and answer the question. And because I have magical teacher ears, I will be able to hear you around the world, no matter where you are. So make sure that you're speaking out loud. And you're welcome to go back and repeat this segment of the video as many times as you want. You can even pause it if you need more time to be able to speak or think about your answer. So, are you ready to speak with me? Let's do it. Hey, I haven't seen you before. Have you lived here long?
What made you decide to move here? So what do you think is the best part about living in this neighborhood so far? Well, it was really great to meet you. I wanted to let you know that there are free concerts in the park every Saturday. I'm going this weekend. Would you like to join me? All right, let's do it. I'll see you then. Great work talking with me about where you live. It's always interesting to see the different living situations around the world. The next topic is daily routines. The style of this lesson is slightly different, but you are going to continue to need to speak out loud, speak with me, and use those speaking muscles to talk about your daily routine. Let's go. Let's get started with the beginning of the day and a phrase that you can use in your daily life too. If I'm lucky, first thing in the morning, I'll hear my alarm, maybe push snooze, and get up slowly. But if I'm not lucky, I'll hear one of my children screaming, "Mommy!" and I have to get out of bed first thing. I used this expression first thing 2 times. The first time was at the beginning of a phrase. First thing in the morning. Make sure that you don't add first of the things or first of the, it's only first thing. First thing in the morning, I hear my alarm. Or we could use it at the end of a phrase, like you just heard me say. I might say, I wake up and make coffee first thing. I make coffee first thing. Actually, for me, I don't make coffee. I don't even know if I know how to make coffee. I always make tea. I am quite a amateur, maybe say newbie, or maybe clueless when it comes to coffee. My husband Dan likes coffee, but I could say, I wake up and make tea first thing. Beautiful phrase. Let's go to the next part of my morning. After I'm awake, I head to the kitchen and start to make some breakfast. Sometimes my kids and I read a book or play a little game at breakfast because not everyone in our house is a morning person. Sometimes at least one of us will wake up on the wrong side of the bed, so having a little bit of fun lightens the mood and helps you to start your day off right. Do you know what a morning person is? A morning person is someone who wakes up happy, ready to start the day. Are you a morning person? Or maybe you wake up on the wrong side of the bed. This is a little bit metaphorical. There's not really a good side of the bed and a bad side of the bed, but it means that you wake up grumpy, maybe a little cranky, maybe not so happy. You could say, oh, I woke up on the wrong side of the bed today. I need some coffee or tea if you're me. Then after breakfast, I drop my son Theo off at preschool. This phrasal verb to drop off can be used for people or for things. So you heard me use it for people. I drop my son Theo off at school. Or we could put it together. I drop off my son at preschool. But we could also drop something off. I dropped my computer off at the repair shop. Make sure that you don't forget the word off, because if you just say, I dropped my computer at the repair shop, it means your computer fell on the ground, broke. Luckily, you're at the repair shop, but it means something really different than to drop off. So make sure that you say, I dropped off my computer at the repair shop, or I dropped my computer off at the repair shop. Then I come home to start my workday. Usually I catch up on some emails, I go over any lessons that I'm going to have for my students, and sometimes I just call a friend to catch up. This phrasal verb, to catch up or to catch up on, is often used in daily life, and you can probably use it in your life too. Let's take a look at some situations. Let's imagine you've had a super busy week and it's the weekend and you look around and your house is a disaster. Right now, my couch is covered in blankets, this table has papers and everything all over it. Oh boy, I need to catch up on chores. I need to catch up on some cleaning that I didn't do during the week. Can you guess what this means? There's something that you've delayed doing, maybe you don't want to or you don't have time, and now it's time to do it. So I could say I need to catch up on some emails, or I need to catch up on some cleaning. But I also used this to talk about my friend. I call my friend to catch up.
Well, it kind of has the same idea. I haven't talked to my friend for a while, and now we're talking about everything that's happened since we last talked. So if you see someone, maybe you're in the grocery store and you run across someone who you haven't seen for a while, you might say, "Hey, you want to go get some coffee and catch up?" That means I haven't seen you for a while. I want to hear everything that's been happening. Let's catch up. I also said in my little story that I go over some lessons, and this is simply a really common way to say review. You can use this in the workplace a lot. You might ask someone to help you out. You could say, "Hey, could you go over this email before I send it?" Maybe you're writing a really important email and you want to make sure you have everything right. You could ask a coworker, "Hey, when you have a second, could you go over this email before I send it? I would really appreciate it." That's so polite. And also, if the other person is a kind person, they might feel kind of good about themselves. Like, "Oh, you think my opinion and my ideas are important and worthwhile? Sure, I'll go over that email for you. I will give it my stamp of approval." When I finish my work, I pick up my son from preschool and we head home. This verb to head somewhere is used all the time. Let me give you a couple situations. You might say, like I just did, "I'm heading home." That means you're going in the direction of home. You're not there yet. You're not stopped, but that's where you're going. "I'm heading home." Or if someone calls you and says, "What are you doing?" you could say, "I'm headed to the store." I'm headed to the store. In American English, the store usually means the grocery store or the supermarket. You're going to go buy some food. "I'm headed to the store." Or if you're ready to go and everyone else is just taking their good old time, you could say, "All right, it's time to head out." This phrase "to head out" means out of the house. Come on, it's time to head out. Let's go. A great way to use to head out. When we get home, sometimes my son and I have a little tea party together and chat about his day. Usually as we're eating and drinking, he kind of opens up about his day. And if he doesn't open up while we're eating, sometimes I ask some specific questions like, "How many holes did you dig today? Did you jump in the leaf pile?" He goes to an outdoor nature school, so they play outside all day, all weather, any season. They're pretty tough. They have lots of good warm clothes. But asking these types of specific questions can help him to kind of review his day in an easier way. You might hear people in movies and TV shows using the phrase, "Tell me about your day," or "What did you do today?" or "What did you learn in school today?" Even worse. These types of broad questions, usually we don't really like to answer, especially at the end of the day. You feel like you just want to detox, decompress, and it's tough to summarize your day in just a few words like that. So maybe when you were a kid, if your mom asked you, "What did you learn in school today?" you probably said, "Oh, nothing," because it's just too hard to summarize your day. So if you have a significant other, if you have kids, if you're just asking someone about their day, I recommend, first of all, doing something together, spending some quality time together. You don't have to have a tea party, although I highly recommend it. Very fun. All you need is some tea, maybe a little snack, cut up an apple, have some nuts or dried fruit, whatever you like. And just spending quality time together can help someone to open up. This is a phrase we're going to use in just a minute. I want to tell you about it. But I recommend if someone doesn't open up, asking specific questions. This helps someone to recall the information that happened to them during the day. Especially with kids, this is helpful because they're just living their life. They're not thinking about summarizing at the end of the day. So when you ask a specific question, "Oh, what game did you play at recess today? Oh, did you eat anyone else's food at lunch today?" These specific questions can help your child to open up. And this phrasal verb "to open up" is beautiful. I love this concept. When you're talking with someone, usually at the beginning, there's kind of a wall. You don't immediately share your deepest thoughts. If someone says, "Hey, Vanessa, how are you doing today?" No matter how I'm really feeling, I'll always say, "Oh, pretty good. What about you?" Because I'm not ready to open up. In those types of passing situations, we're just not comfortable sharing our inner thoughts. So when you spend quality time together, that wall kind of drifts away a little more, and someone might be more willing to be vulnerable. And that's the idea. When you open up, That means that you're willing to talk about your struggles, something difficult in your life, something really meaningful in your life, not just the surface, shallow things, but when you really open up to someone, you're being your authentic self. So just remember these Vanessa tips the next time that you want someone to open up to you. All right, let's go to the next part of my day. When the weather's nice, usually our neighbors come over and hang out. Sometimes we have snacks, sometimes we play games, sometimes we just chat. But because my backyard is very sunny, it's a favorite hangout spot. And this word, to hang out, can be used in two different ways. It can be used as a verb. We love to hang out in the backyard. This means to casually spend time, usually with other people. We hang out together. Or it can be used as a noun. This is a hangout, or as an adjective, so I guess we can use this in three ways, a hangout spot. So it's describing this location. What kind of location is it? It's a hangout spot. It's not a professional place. It's not a private place. Instead, it's a hangout spot. It's where we just go to spend time with other people. After hanging out with friends, as the sun starts to go down, usually we come inside and start to cook dinner. While we're eating dinner, we try to sit down at the table as a family. It's nice to try to have a little bit of quality time together, so we like to ask each other some questions. The most common questions, in fact, my 4-year-old son Theo loves to ask these to us. He asks us one by one, what was the best part of your day? And when everyone has answered, he asks, what was the most challenging part of your day? And it's so funny the things that kids will say to these questions. So if you haven't done this in your home, if your kids aren't familiar with English, it's okay. You can ask in your native language. But asking these questions helps to kind of prompt conversation a bit. And when you're opening up about the best thing or the most challenging thing about your day, it kind of encourages the other people at the table to open up too. Oh, what a great phrasal verb that we just learned about. There are two phrases I want to share with you that I just mentioned. One of them is as a family. Now this just means the group, the whole group, the family group. But we can use the same structure in other ways. We could say as a family, as a neighborhood, as a community, as a department, as an office. So it's talking about all the people that are in that group. So for example, you could say, it's important to spend some time together as a couple without your kids. So if you have kids, spending time without them is very important. So you could say, as a couple, just you and your significant other, it's important to be together without your kids occasionally. Another expression that I used is quality time. I already mentioned this when I was talking about the tea party. I think I might have mentioned it. If not, having a tea party is good quality time too, but it means that you're not just having a shallow experience together. It's not rushed. You don't have to go anywhere. You're just enjoying each other's presence. So I really encourage you to try to spend some quality time with someone this week. It means that you don't need to go anywhere. You don't have any kind of schedule. You have a full hour just to take a walk with a friend, or to chat on the phone, or to play a game with your kids, something that's quality time. There's no agenda. You're just enjoying being together. After dinner, we clean up, we put the kids to bed, we tuck them in and tell them, sleep tight. So one of these expressions that I used, you have to be very careful about. I said we put the kids to bed. This means that we help them sleep. So maybe we brush their teeth, we read some books, we sing some songs, and we help them to relax. When you say we put the kids to bed, that's what it means. But you have to be very careful, because if you change the word bed for sleep, if you put someone to sleep, it's very different. Usually this is a pet. So if we said, I had to put my dog to sleep last week, it means you had to euthanize, which is a nice way to say kill your dog. Maybe that means he was really old, he was suffering. It's a really tough thing to do, but it's often necessary. So make sure that you do not say, I had to put my kids to sleep. Instead, I had to put my kids to bed. Oh, much better. Of course, if you say your kids, people are probably going to understand that you mean you helped them sleep, but just to make certain that you're using the best expression, you can say, I put my kids to bed every night at 7 o'clock. I put my kids to bed, Beautiful. The final thing that I say to my kids before they go to bed is sleep tight. What? Tight? This is a fun expression that's actually shortened from another full expression. It is good night, sleep tight, don't let the bed bugs bite. Of course, we hope you don't have bugs in your bed. This is a very old expression. Sometimes we say that full expression, good night, sleep tight. Sometimes we say good night, sleep tight, don't let the bed bugs bite. But oftentimes we just shorten that to good night, sleep tight, or just sleep tight. And it just means I hope you sleep well. So if you hear people say this in English movies or TV shows, or if you want to say this yourself, it's great. A very natural thing to say at the end of the night. After the kids are in bed, Dan, my husband, and I have some precious downtime. Sometimes we get caught up on chores, maybe get caught up on a book that we're reading, sometimes just chat about our day and decompress. This is a great expression, downtime. It means you have nothing else to do except decompress and relax. It's essential to have downtime, especially before you go to bed. If you're looking at Instagram while you're in your bed, oh no, stop that right away. It's very bad for your sleep. You need to have some downtime. Give yourself a 1-hour pause before you go to bed to try to slow your mind down. Having some downtime with someone you love or just by yourself relaxing is essential. When the day's over, it's finally time to hit the hay. If I've had a really busy day, I might just sleep like a log, but if I'm feeling a bit stressed or there's a lot going on in my mind, I might toss and turn a bit before finally falling asleep. And fingers crossed that my children sleep all night so I don't have to wake up in the middle of the night to help them. And that's my day. Let's talk about some of those expressions I just used. To hit the hay does not mean that I'm a farmer and I have a last-minute chore at the end of the day. I need to hit the hay. No, instead it just means sleep. I need to hit the hay. My head needs to go on the pillow. I need to hit the hay. And I also said that I might sleep like a log. Does a log move? Does a log make any sounds? Nope, it's just a tree that fell over and there it is. Nice and silent and still. It means you slept very soundly, very quietly and peacefully. But to toss and turn, on the other hand, to toss and turn means that you did not sleep peacefully, or at least you didn't go to bed peacefully. Your body and your mind is too active. You tossed and turned. And what about the last one I used? Fingers crossed. This is just a fun way to say, I hope that my kids sleep all night. Fingers crossed that my kids sleep all night. And me too.
Great work talking about your daily routine in English. Let's talk about our final conversation topic, which is family heritage. Maybe your family has always lived in the same town for years and years and years, or maybe your family is from multiple different places. You need to be able to talk about this because this is an interesting conversation topic. I love hearing about where people's families are from. So let's talk about it in English. Let's go. All right, are you ready to get started with this tragic and romantic love story? I'm going to be telling you a section of this story. I will explain some pronunciation, and then it will be your turn to repeat that section of the story with me. I challenge you to speak out loud. It's great to hear my voice and to listen to these lessons, but I want you to be active. So after each section, it is going to be your turn to speak out loud. Let's listen to the first part of the story. At the turn of the century, my great-grandfather immigrated to the US from Naples, Italy. He married a woman, and they had 3 children together. Let's talk about this phrase, at the turn of the century. When we're talking about a century, we're talking about 100 years. So can you imagine what the turn of the century means? Here we're talking about around 1900. It doesn't need to be exactly at 1900 or maybe a little bit before or after. Any of that time frame is okay. When we say at the turn of the century, we can get an idea that it's around 1900. So you might say, at the turn of the century, a lot of new technologies were being created that drastically changed humanity. All right, now that we've talked about this phrase, let's go back. I'm going to say that section of the story again, and then you will see a pause. I will just be sitting here like this, and I will be listening no matter where you live around the world. I have magical teacher ears. I can hear you. So I want you during the pause to speak out loud, to repeat the words that I just said right here. And I want you to use your speaking voice. You listen to yourself using this new phrase at the turn of the century. Practice speaking exactly like I did in this story section. Are you ready? Let's go. At the turn of the century, my great-grandfather immigrated to the US from Naples, Italy. He married a woman, and they had 3 children together. Great work with your first repeating section. Let's go on to the next part of the story. Unfortunately, his wife died, so he wrote a letter to his mother back in Italy. He asked her to help him find a new wife who could help him raise his children. Let's talk about this word, unfortunately. It's quite a long word, so let's break it down so that you can pronounce it as accurately as possible. Unfortunately. 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 Unfortunately, I won't be able to make it to your party this weekend. All right, are you ready to repeat the previous story segment with me? Let's listen to it again, and then I'll pause and I will be listening to you no matter where you are. Let's go. Unfortunately, his wife died, so he wrote a letter to his mother back in Italy. He asked her to help him find a new wife who could help him raise his children. Great work with this second section of the story that you repeated with me. Let's go on to the story. Remember that my great-grandfather has 3 children. His wife died. He asked his mother, please help me find a new wife so that I can have someone to help raise my children. What happens? Let's see. She found him a wife from their village, and in her letter, she included his future wife's dimensions so that he could bring a wedding dress to Italy that would fit her. Let's take a look at this word dimensions. First, the pronunciation. Let's break it down. Dimensions. 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 So he has his future wife's dimensions. What does that mean? It's talking about her physical measurements so that he can take those dimensions, those numbers, to a tailor, and that tailor can create a wedding dress that will exactly fit his future wife, who he's never met before. We can also talk about dimensions for other things. So if you're building a table, you might say, I need the dimensions of the table to be 5 feet by 3 feet, so it exactly fits in my kitchen. Okay, these are just the physical numbers so that you know the size of an item. Or in this case, a person. All right, I'm going to repeat that section of the story. I want you to focus specifically on the pronunciation of the word dimensions, and I want you to speak out loud after you hear me repeat this section one more time. Let's go. She found him a wife from their village, and in her letter, she included his future wife's dimensions so that he could bring a wedding dress to Italy that would fit her. Let's continue with the story. Typically, in these situations at the turn of the century, the woman, the wife, would be shipped to the man in the US who she would marry. This is called a mail order bride. But my great-grandfather did things a little bit differently. He chose to go back home to Italy to meet the woman before he married her. Let's talk about this word shipped. First, the pronunciation. Notice that at the end, there is a T sound. Shipped, shipped. Usually we use the word shipped for packages. I'm shipping a package to my sister. Amazon shipped me my order. But a long time ago, apparently, we shipped people back and forth. So in this situation, we're talking about a person, but you are most likely to use this to talk about a package. All right, let's repeat this section together, and then I want you to say it out loud. Let's go. Typically, in these situations at the turn of the century, the woman, the wife, would be shipped to the man in the US who she would marry. This is called a mail order bride. But my great-grandfather did things a little bit differently. He chose to go back home to Italy to meet the woman before he married her. All right, are you ready for the best part of the story? In a twist of fate, he fell in love not with the woman his mother had chosen for him, but her sister, Antoinette Manolfi. This phrase, a twist of fate, perfectly describes this scenario. Well, everything in my family was changed because he married a different woman. I'm here because he chose to marry Antoinette Manolfi, not the woman his mother had chosen for him. So here when we're talking about fate, we're talking about destiny, something that is out of our control. It just happened. Now in the story, I used this in a positive way, in a twist of fate, maybe a surprising way. He chose to marry her sister instead. But we can also use this with one added word to talk about really negative situations. We could add the word cruel. Cruel is like wicked, evil. So we could say, in a cruel twist of fate, she scored the winning goal, but then she got injured and couldn't play anymore through the rest of the season. Well, it was her destiny that even though she scored the winning goal, she wouldn't be able to play the rest of the season. It's something that was outside of her control, and it feels a little bit cruel, wicked, evil, right? Because she should be their star player, but instead, she got injured. It was a cruel twist of fate. All right, now it's your turn to repeat that story section with me. Let's go. In a twist of fate, he fell in love not with the woman his mother had chosen for him, but her sister, Antoinette Manolfi. In their wedding pictures, Antoinette is wearing the wedding dress that was meant for someone else, her sister. This phrase, to be meant for, is talking about intention. It was intended to go to someone else, but that's not really what happened. So we could say the award was meant for her, but they gave it to someone else by mistake. Okay, so it was intended for the winner, but they accidentally gave it to someone else instead. It was meant for her. Oops. All right, now it's your turn to repeat this story segment with me and speak out loud. Let's go. In their wedding pictures, Antoinette is wearing the wedding dress that was meant for someone else, her sister. In my opinion, the dress is symbolic of their love story. Even though the dress was meant for someone else, they were always meant for each other. I like this word symbolic because we often use this in these beautiful poetic expressions. The dress is symbolic of their love story. It represents their love story. You could say something like this: usually a dove is symbolic of peace and hope. This is something that reminds us of peace and hope. All right, now it's your turn to repeat this story segment and speak out loud. In my opinion, the dress is symbolic of their love story. Even though the dress was meant for someone else, they were always meant for each other. After they got married together, they immigrated back to the US and had 3 children of their own. This phrase, of their own, can also be changed to of my own, of his own, of your own. We're talking about ownership, something that's belonging to you. I want you to take a look at this other sample sentence. I lived in a small apartment until I had enough money to buy a house of my own. Notice how the subject, I, matches with the pronoun in this expression, of my own. I and my need to match. And that's what I used in the story. We're talking about them and their own. Beautiful. All right, now it's your turn to repeat the story segment out loud. Let's go. After they got married together, they immigrated back to the US and had 3 children of their own. Are you ready for some more tragedy in this love story? Here we go. Unfortunately, her husband, my great-grandfather, died, leaving her to raise 6 children in a new country on her own. Let's talk about this phrase, on her own, because we just talked about something very similar, of her own, but here we're going to change one word, on her own, and it's going to completely change the meaning. Gotta love English, right? So in this phrase, when we say that she raised the children on her own, this means alone, with no help. She has no husband to help bring in an income, to help with the children, to help be a man in the house. She is on her own, completely alone. And just like our previous phrase, the pronoun needs to match the subject. So take a look at this sentence. I film these lessons on my own. There's no one else here in this room setting up the camera or the microphone or the lights. It's just me here on my own. But having said that, I don't run this business on my own. Here we're having the subject, I run the business on my own. I have a lot of wonderful help, people who help to edit the videos, people who help to proofread and make sure that I'm not making mistakes that are going to teach you the wrong things, people who help to create the content that will help you to learn more English. There are wonderful people who are helping me, but I am filming these lessons on my own. All right, now it's your turn to repeat this story segment, this tragic part of the story. Don't worry, it will get better in the next segment. But I want you to repeat this segment out loud. Use your speaking voice. Go ahead, I'm listening. Unfortunately, her husband, my great-grandfather, died, leaving her to raise 6 children in a new country on her own. Somehow, my great-grandmother, Antoinette Manolfi, made it work, and she is the beloved matriarch of our family. Let's talk about this lovely expression, beloved matriarch. Here, this first expression has an ED at the end, but listen to how it's pronounced. Beloved. There is a V and a D side by side. Beloved. You can use this for plenty of things. For example, my children have a beloved stuffed animal that they love to hug at night. It's something that they love. It is a beloved stuffed animal. In that second word, matriarch, we often hear the other word, patriarch. It's a patriarchal society. We hear that word a lot in society, in the news, in social media, but the opposite word is matriarch. Matriarch. Notice that the end of this word sounds like a K. Matriarch. And this is when a woman is the one who is the leader. Antoinette Manolfi is the beloved matriarch of my family. She is the woman who really held together my whole family. All right, now it's your turn to repeat this part of the story. Speak out loud. We only have one more speaking section left to go after this, so give it your best. Speak out loud. Here we go.
Somehow, my great-grandmother, Antoinette Manolfi, made it work, and she is the beloved matriarch of our family. Everyone looks up to her, and I even had a picture taken with her when I was a baby. It's amazing how these timelines collide. Let's take a look at this final phrasal verb, to look up to someone. It's not that I'm physically looking up because she's tall. No, instead we're talking about respecting someone. Everyone in my family looks up to Antoinette Manolfi because she kept the family together. She endured extreme tragedy and hardship. But do you know what? Because of her, my family was able to succeed. And thank goodness I'm here today. I'm so grateful to her. So let's talk about this great expression, to look up to someone. You could also say this. One of my French teachers was exciting, interesting, and so helpful. When I became an English teacher, I really looked up to him. This means I respected him. I wanted to emulate how he taught because I loved that feeling of I'm enjoying learning French and I'm actually learning. So I hope that that's true for you, that you're enjoying learning and you're actually learning English. All right, let's repeat this final section together. Speak out loud, use your voice, and repeat with me. Let's go. Everyone looks up to her, and I even had a picture taken with her when I was a baby. It's amazing how these timelines collide.
Well, congratulations on speaking English with me over the last 2 hours. You did it. Yes. Don't forget to download the free 44-page ebook with everything that you just learned in today's lesson. Every vocabulary phrase, every sample sentence, every sample conversation. You can download this 44-page free ebook by just clicking the link in the description, entering your email address, and I will send you this free 44-page ebook, my gift to you. Don't forget to enjoy that ebook, all of my hard work for you. Well, thank you so much for learning English with me today, and I will see you again next Friday for a new lesson here on my YouTube channel. Bye. But wait, do you want more? A lot more? I recommend checking out this video next. More 2-hour conversations with me, including why in the world do I have 13 pets? Huh? Let's talk about it in English, and I'll see you there.